Right now on Current News, proclaiming the good news. Churches are reopening to full capacity in the Diocese of Brooklyn.
This is the guidance we're getting from the CDC, and it's a good day.
Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio with what you need to know to get back to Mass. Plus, a heartbeat bill that's become law in Texas, banning abortions as early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy. Then, reports of a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. But what damage has the fighting already done to children? We speak to a 10-year-old from Gaza. And in-person graduations. A local Catholic college finally congratulates the class of 2020. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. We begin with some good news. Churches in the Diocese of Brooklyn can now open at 100% capacity. Because of lower infection rates and high vaccination rates, most COVID restrictions in our parishes are being lifted.
Let us pray.
Big news for the faithful in Brooklyn and Queens, and another sign that New York is inching back to a life we once knew. As New York continues to relax many of its restrictions, Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio says churches can now reopen at 100%.
It's exciting. We're looking forward to seeing people back and celebrating the Eucharist with enthusiasm. When we see a crowd, it's when you see somebody there, it's not quite the same. It's hard to get the same enthusiasm.
The new guidance just issued to pastors and administrators says churches will no longer need to rope off pews, though social distancing will still be required for those not vaccinated.
Unvaccinated should, again, wear masks, and not that they're going to segregate them to certain places, but they have to use their common sense.
Other guidance includes masks. For those who are not vaccinated, masks will still be mandatory in church. But vaccinated or not, everyone will be encouraged to wear masks while there. Good hand hygiene will still be required, and churches will be encouraged to provide disinfectant. Hymnals and other church materials will once again be allowed, and offertory collections will resume with baskets. In addition, choirs will resume their normal activities, provided members are vaccinated. Holy Communion will continue in the form of bread only, with no shared cups, receiving in the hand recommended. But for those who may not be able to attend Mass in person, the bishop is recommending that live streaming of Masses continues.
It's very important to have that. It should be enough. We've learned something new again in the pandemic, that we could do that, and it's not that difficult. And for especially the homebound that really cannot get out, it's a great grace that can see their own parish and keep in contact with them.
No one will be asked to prove their vaccination status. The Diocese of Brooklyn is encouraging pastors to use their best judgment in determining the best way to get parishioners back in the pews safely. Dispensation from the Sunday Mass obligation will be lifted on June 3rd. The news comes as many dioceses around the country prepare to fully reopen. The Archdiocese of Atlanta, the Diocese of Charlotte, North Carolina, and bishops in Colorado announced they are reinstating the Sunday Mass obligation on Pentecost. Also starting this Sunday, the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. will resume its pre-pandemic Sunday Mass schedule. Other dioceses, like in Ohio and New Orleans, said they'll be reopening on June 6th. Hate has no place in America. That's what President Biden tweeted before signing a bill to counter the rise in anti-Asian hate crimes. The legislation, known as the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, would create a new position at the Justice Department to expedite review of potential COVID-19 related hate crimes. It would also direct federal agencies to work with community organizations to raise awareness of hate crimes during the pandemic. According to the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism, reported hate crimes against Asians in 16 of the nation's largest cities and countries are up 164% since last year. New legislation in Texas bans abortions as early as 6 weeks. Governor Greg Abbott signing the heartbeat bill into law on Wednesday, saying our Creator endowed us with the right to life. The bill would require providers to check for a heartbeat before performing an abortion and bans them from carrying it out if one is detected. The law does make exceptions if a physician believes a medical emergency exists. Currents News' Emily Druby is following a national story in the fight to stop abortion, the unprecedented case being brought before the Supreme Court. On Monday's program, she will talk to both local and national pro-life advocates on the case. That's Monday on Currents News. Israel and Hamas appear to be on the verge of a ceasefire. Israeli media says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet has halted the 11-day military operation in the Gaza Strip. The ceasefire is expected to take place around 2 a.m. Israel time. This follows Israel launching a new wave of airstrikes across Gaza overnight, which was followed by more Hamas rocket attacks. At least 230 people in Palestine and 12 in Israel were killed over the days of unrest. But emotional scars are still being felt by the most vulnerable, with more and more children being caught in the crossfire. Arwa Damon introduces us to a 10-year-old girl in Gaza. She describes what she's forced to face. Take a listen.
Hi, welcome back to our video. His name is Jude. His name is Nana or Nadine.
It's the juxtaposition that is perhaps the most jarring. Between the clips Nadine, an aspiring social media influencer, used to post about her life, often featuring her younger brother Jude.
I hear my sister.
And the clip that was posted of her that went viral.
All of this. What do you expect me to do? Fix it? I'm only 10. I can't even do anything this morning. I just want to be a doctor or anything to help my people, but I can't. I'm just a kid.
She is just a kid. But at the same time, she's not anymore.
Are you having fun? Oh, flip it! Let's go. That was
I was not laughing because it was funny. I was laughing because I was trying to keep my brother calm down. My gosh, I love you. Me too.
We're back again here, and this is all the stuff we got for the school.
This is what they should have been getting ready for. Instead,
This is my bag in case anything happens. I don't really care about any of those things that are in the bag. As I said, I care about family.
of course Nadine gets scared, her mother says. She covers her fear for her brother. Nadine's mother watches her family as if she's quietly relishing in the laughter of the younger generations. For laughter is more precious in times like this, when you know, even if you are just a kid, that it can end at any moment.
That was Arwa Damon reporting. Caritas International is launching an urgent appeal to bring medical care to the affected population in Gaza. To contribute to the cause, go to caritas.org/appeal for healthcare in Gaza. Graduates of St. Francis College who couldn't receive their degrees in person because of COVID are now getting the attention they deserve. Grads from spring and summer of 2020, as well as those from this year, walked across the stage at an in-person commencement. Emily Druby has more.
A proud occasion caught on camera.
Myrna Abdelhalem.
After coming to the U.S. from Egypt as a child, Myrna Abdelhalem became the first in her family to graduate.
Honestly, it's more for my parents than it is for me.
A moment her parents dreamed of, almost lost forever. As a member of the class of 2020, her original ceremony was canceled because of the pandemic. Now they've gotten that moment back.
It just means that both my hard work and their hard work kind of paid off, which is the whole point, really, of hard work, right?
Hundreds of other St. Francis College students and their families did too.
I mean, you could feel the vibe here. I mean, I've had so many parents come to me crying, tears in their eyes. My heart is uplifted because this is why we do what we do.
This school holding 2 commencement ceremonies in the same day at the Coney Island Amphitheater. One for the 2021 graduates in the afternoon.
Robert Mineta.
And one for the 2020 graduates in the morning. The amphitheater is technically outside and social distancing guidelines were in place. Everyone had to show proof of a recent negative test or vaccination, safely giving students the moment they've worked so hard for, one that brought parents to their feet.
My mom was a teacher in India, and my dad also has his master's in accounting. But then when they came here, they had to start everything again. So seeing me do it here, make it here, it's a big moment for them too.
Master's graduate Janelle Patel has been working in accounting for a year, but that didn't stop her from coming back for this.
It feels really good, and it feels like we got closure from like a chapter of our life.
The pandemic took so much from these kids, from their last days in the classroom to their senior year trips and events, but now they can cross walking across that stage off the list of things they've missed. In Coney Island, Emily Druvy, Currents News.
Colleges around the country are getting creative in how they do their commencement ceremonies. Rhodes College is seating participants in pods, with each person getting a ticket for contact tracing. Vanderbilt and Northeastern University are staggering the arrival times for the ceremony, so students enter the venue in shifts. Similarly, Michigan State University is holding 50 staggered in-person ceremonies. Brown and Yale are only allowing students to be there in person. Parents will be watching online. There's a lot more news headed your way. He had a career in IT, but realized his true calling was to serve God. We'll continue our series, Answering the Call. Plus, another group of men dedicating their life to the church. Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio talks about our new deacons. And devoted Christian Tim Tebow takes a leap of faith. We'll tell you about his next endeavor.
I feel like, yes, this is what I was born for and called to do.
Robinson Olivares is answering the call, another man on the road to priesthood in the Diocese of Brooklyn. He comes to his holy calling much later in life, following school and a profession. Deacon Olivares was born in the Dominican Republic and moved to the tough streets of Harlem decades ago. Jessica Esop spoke with him and has more on how he's bringing his experience to the priesthood. Jessica.
Christine, Deacon Robinson really has an incredible story. He definitely did some browsing before realizing he was meant to be a priest. He had a successful career in IT and is considered a later in life vocation, but he brings all of his experiences with him to his life of service.
Deacon Robinson Olivares has explored all life has to offer. He's gone to school, dated, and had a career.
I became a technical support engineer, and I did that for 20 years. I worked in healthcare, providing support, entertainment, business.
But once he got to the very core, there was nothing left but faith. Growing up in the Dominican Republic, he was in safe mode. Faith was a big part of his simple life.
And I grew up very much Catholic, prayed the rosary since little. I loved visiting the countryside where I would spend time with my grandparents.
Those joyous moments in an idyllic setting didn't last. A rude awakening was waiting. New York City in the 1980s.
About every other weekend there was a shootout and candles at a corner with people that were killed. I remember at times that I had to duck, and I was scared for my life.
As Deacon Robinson grew up, his neighborhood changed around him, but the feeling that something was missing never did. It took him a long time to process his call. A few times he found love and thought it would be forever, but says God was opening a new window.
This wonderful girl, she said, you know what, why don't you follow your heart? And eventually I had to choose the Lord.
It was his career in IT that proved to him he was good with people and wanted to do something hands-on. Finally, after going on a retreat with his friend, it all clicked.
I was introduced to Jesus as my best friend. And I've since had that relationship with him. Now glorify me, Father.
Now Deacon Robinson says he can see the clear link between technology and his faith.
I remember coming up with this prayer. I said, Lord, may you set up in me a firewall with the fire of your love so that I may remain close to you and outside influences don't get at me so that I may not walk a different path.
The connection might have been slow, but now nothing can undo this feeling.
Instead of like being a computer doctor, now be a doctor of souls.
Deacon Robinson admits even though he resisted becoming a priest for a long time, his heart is completely in taking this new step in life, especially serving in the city where he grew up. He says he wants to be a presence not only in his new parish, but in his community as well. Christine?
And I'm sure he will be, Jess. And you'll be profiling a few more future priests for us, right?
That's right. I have 2 more transitional deacons to profile for you guys over the next 2 weeks. And you know, I really love this time every year. I look forward to it all year because it's so amazing to see how these men come from all different walks of life, but are truly connected through their vocation.
Well, we're looking forward to your reports. Thanks, Jess. And you can watch the priesthood ordination live right here on Net TV. It takes place Saturday, June 5th at 11 in the morning from the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph. Ahead of priestly ordinations, Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio welcomes 10 permanent deacons to the diocese. The clergy will be able to perform sacraments like weddings, baptisms, and funerals, as well as proclaim the gospel and preach at Mass. Bishop DiMarzio talks about this year's group with former Tablet editor Ed Wilkinson in this week's Into the Deep. Ed.
Thank you. We're going to talk to Bishop DiMarzio today about the upcoming ordination of permanent deacons here in the diocese. Bishop, I believe you ordain permanent deacons every 2 years now. How many deacons are going to be ordained this year?
This year there are 10 men to be ordained.
What walks of life do they come from?
Well, there's a variety. I was just looking at the list to refresh my memory. 2 are teachers in Catholic high schools, actually. There's a podiatrist, there's a plumber, there's a machine fitter, a retired, 2 retired. So they come from a variety of walks of life and different ethnicities. Half would be Hispanic, but with college degrees, that means they've been here a long time. They received a master's degree with the others. Actually, one Polish, this will be the second Polish permanent deacon we have in the diocese in our history, a Filipino. So it does reflect again the diocese in which we're in.
Mm-hmm. And they've gone through a rigorous, kind of a long period of training for this. This is just not an easy decision. They have to question this and think about it over the many years. What is the training of a deacon like?
It's a 5-year program. The first year is basically discernment, basic things that they go over. And then there's 4 years. During that time, either they receive a master's degree in theology, or if they don't have a college degree, they would audit the classes and get a certificate. It would be the same classes that are for the people who have a college degree, except they wouldn't do the papers and other things that are required for a master's degree. So it's a very rigorous type of training. It's a commitment. It's basically 1 day a week, either Saturday or some evening, where they do spend time, and then they start to do actual diaconal work by working and helping in the parishes. So it's a big commitment of time, and the wives are also invited to participate in the classes. Some of them have already received the degree with their husbands, and they need to have that wife's support. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it can be very disruptive to a family. When a deacon is spending a lot of his free time working with the church and not able to take care of his family. That's why we don't allow anybody to become a deacon until after 35. And even then, if they have small children, we kind of hold up a bit. They need to have the priority taking care of their family first, and then to give their life to the service of the church.
We see the deacons on the altar assisting the priest at liturgy, but a lot of people might not understand what they do the rest of the week. What is their role of service to the church?
Well, it is a role of service. I mean, service in taking care of those who are poor. Sometimes they run food pantries, other times they give instruction for pre-baptismal or confirmation programs. So they have a variety of things they do, but it's based on service. It's not just liturgical, but it's catechetical. It's works of mercy. These are the things that deacons do in the parishes.
Yeah. And of course, the deacon's role was renewed, I guess, during the Second Vatican Council. What has been the effect on the church? Do you think this has been a good move?
It's been an excellent thing. We've never had such a volunteer corps of permanent deacons. Again, when they thought of it in the Second Vatican Council, they thought it would be good for the mission countries where they don't have enough priests. But the opposite happened. It took off in the first world countries where we have a lot of priests, but lay persons are developed a lot more, and they're able to give time. Our society, people do have free time. We don't work 80 hours a week. Some of the other countries that are there, people work and they don't have the ability to give extra time to anything. So it was the opposite reaction to what they thought would happen.
Great. Bishop, thanks so much for being with us today. And now we're going back to the news desk.
Thank you, Ed and Bishop DiMarzio. The permanent deacon's ordination mass will be on May 29th at St. Joseph Co-Cathedral at 11. The Diocese of Brooklyn is looking to boost parishes and academies online. In collaboration with Net TV's parent company, DeSales Media Group, the diocese is holding a virtual World Communications Day for church leaders. The event includes compelling Catholic keynote speakers and breakout sessions designed to help the churches and schools inspire new ideas for connecting with parishioners and students where they are. The event will take place Wednesday, May 26th between 4 and 6 p.m. You can register at wcdnyc.org. Still to come on Currents News, the largest container ship the East Coast has ever seen docks in the New York metropolitan area, and why you may see a lot more of Tim Tebow in the near future. More on his big announcement next. A container ship the length of the Empire State Building floated through New York Harbor. The Marco Polo is the largest cargo ship to ever dock on the East Coast, and its massive size is comparable to the length of about 5 city blocks. It's here to unload up to 5,000 cargo containers full of clothing, pharmaceuticals, furniture, appliances, home fixtures, and food. That's according to the Port Authority. Tim Tebow is back in the NFL. Tebow, known for his outspoken Christian faith, has signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The former quarterback will transition to tight end. He says he knows it'll be a challenge, but he's ready to embrace it. It's a reunion for Tebow and coach Urban Meyer. Together, they led the University of Florida to 2 national championships. Tebow hasn't been on an NFL roster since 2015. Wow. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.